Welcome to the channel, friends. So today's video is going to be covering some exterior carbon fiber upgrades I'm doing to the exterior of my C6 ZR1. I'm going to do a quick summary on each one of the products. I'm not going to go into full detail about the install because it can be very lengthy, but I will give you a quick kind of summary and my overall impressions of each piece and kind of the tips and tricks to installing these things and making them look good. Now, I bought 3 pieces, one from EOS, which is Extreme Online Store, which is the rear carbon vents, the duct for the brakes. Now, these are actually full carbon fiber, and they're complete replacements. You have to pop out your OEM and replace it with this, okay? We're gonna come back to that. Now, the next piece is gonna be your front vents right here. Those I will also talk about. Those are from eBay. And there's other options out there that are more expensive. And believe it or not, there's the same exact one, okay? I think what's going on is these companies are buying these from China and relabeling them and remarketing them and rebranding them to their own brand. And they're charging twice as much for the same exact thing. So these fit nice, and I'm gonna show you the tip to making them fit even better, okay? So that's the second piece. The third piece is the rear diffuser in this car. So it's a factory style diffuser, okay, and it's full carbon fiber. This actually fit the best out of all the pieces, I can tell you that. This fit right in, bolted right up. A little bit of fitting for around the actual reverse lights. I had to elongate the holes a little bit for mounting because there's 2 screws on the top of this, and there is a total of like 7 screws, fasteners on either side, and then there's 2 right in the middle, right above the tailpipe. I'm not gonna go over the install, but it's very simple. It's essentially, you know, like I said, 16 screws that you have to remove, and then the thing slides out. So that was pretty easy. But this one right here, the rear mud guards, these things need a lot of work to fit right, okay? They look good. Okay, the carbon weave on them is really good looking, okay, with all these pieces. So you cannot knock them aesthetically, but when it comes to the fitment, this one right here just needs a lot of work, okay? So I had to sand and kind of profile this whole area right here so it would fit better. And then once that's done, I'm gonna have to go ahead and insert some screws carefully and precisely. I'm gonna put 3 screws in here to hold this thing up because this thing is not gonna stay with tape, as you can see. It's just gonna flop around eventually once the car heats up in the summertime, and it's gonna be a problem. So I'm gonna have to figure this out. I will, at the end of the video, include the update on this piece right here. But I got it to fit nicely, kind of like tucked in like this. But, like I said, you have to be able to fasten this thing to the car. It doesn't use the OEM clips, which are right here. And then there's an OEM clip up here, a spring clip. None of that is, you know, applies to this carbon fiber piece. This is also an eBay piece. Even the ones from the more expensive brands, they're literally the same exact thing. They're just charging more money for them. So that's why I went ahead and just bought the eBay ones, is because, hey, if it's gonna be the same thing, I might as well just try the lesser cost version of it first before I go ahead and spring for the more expensive version. Now, people are gonna be talking shit and all sorts of stuff saying, oh, don't put eBay carbon on there. It's like, well, the GM stuff was plastic and it looked okay, all right? I think this right here looks way better. Real carbon fiber with a black mesh grill on the inside. It looks better than OEM. It looks OEM plus, if you ask me. Okay, so if done correctly and installed correctly, you're gonna have a hard time discerning, or anybody else, that it's, you know, an eBay carbon or this and that. If it's done right, it's gonna look good no matter what. So, other pieces you notice on here, these are APR mirrors, carbon fiber mirrors. They are no longer made, so good luck trying to find them. Those are real carbon fiber. They do not fold, however. That's the only downside to having these on your car. You cannot fold them. Even though it looks like there's a seam there, it's a faux seam. It's not real. So they're solid one-piece design, you know. Everything else pretty much is, you know, right here I have also a carbon fiber front guard. That is covered with XPEL to protect it from all the rocks being shot back here. I do have some XPEL coming also for this here, because this thing is going to get just annihilated by pebbles and gravel and debris and dirt and stuff over the years. So I'm going to protect that fully with XPEL, maybe even this too. But I'm going to show you a couple things on this. But first I want to get to this spoiler. This is a... I'm actually going to replace this, so hopefully if I get the new spoiler in time, I'm going to include it in this video. And the new spoiler is a USA-made Anderson Composites spoiler to replicate this right here. This is a Ron Fellows spoiler that I've wrapped in carbon fiber wrap. It actually looks really nice. It's a GM spoiler. This is not an aftermarket spoiler. This is a GM product that I wrapped because I like the look of the Ron Fellows. It has a nice kind of swooped, rounded back end, and I personally like it over the standard ZR1, you know, spoiler. So I will maybe include, like I said, showcasing the new spoiler, which is the Anderson Composites, but hopefully I get that in time. Long story about that spoiler is that 5 years ago I ordered that spoiler and it was on back order for over a year, and essentially I canceled the order because they pretty much were just having on a waiting list and told me they had to wait for another 3 people to get a total of 5 orders to make the batch of spoilers. And I was like, you know what, that's ridiculous. I'm just gonna cancel my order. But I checked recently and they have the spoiler in stock, and hopefully I receive it and I'm happy with it and I'll get it on the car and it looks great, and I'll talk about that when it's, you know, when it's here. But I will try to include this all in one video as, like, you know, a carbon fiber upgrade, you know, for the ZR1 or any C6 really. So let's go in the workshop and I want to talk about some install tips when it comes to these, as well as what I'm going to do for this right here. All right, so we're back in the workshop and here is the front vents. I want to show you the back side, what I did here. So I went ahead and installed safety wire in 4 corners of this because this is a 2-piece design. We have the carbon like shell on it, and then we have that black mesh grill, which is just inserted in there. Now, when I went to bolt these down with the nuts through the, you know, through the fender, I actually noticed that the 2 pieces were separating, and you could see that from the inside seam there. Okay, you can't see it now, but when I noticed it, I could see it starting to form a gap. But anyways, I solved that by making sure these things are not going to back out by installing safety wire all the way around in hidden spots. So visually you can't tell when this is installed that there's hidden safety wire inside that black grill holding this carbon sleeve on. Okay, so I did that to all of them. This is the OEM hardware that you take off the OEM parts and put them on these carbon parts. These fit really well now, and because of this right here. So right here we used to have a tab. So let me grab a factory part and show you. So the factory piece has this tab which inserts into the fender. Well, these carbon pieces here aren't made as well when it comes to the location of that tab. So this tab was interfering with the fitment of these vent inserts. So what I did was basically took some flush cutters and just snipped that right off clean. Now I don't have that tab in the way, and when I insert it, it fully seats all the way around the edge, the perimeter of this thing, and makes contact with the body panel all the way around, no gaps. So otherwise, if you do have this tab still in place, you're going to be fighting the force of the nuts that are trying to hold this thing in. And what's going to happen is it's going to just pry this insert out of the piece of the whole assembly. So you don't want that. So I highly recommend first trying to see if this works, you know, as is. Plug it into your car, see if there's a gap. You know, tighten this up and then see if there's a gap left over. If there is, remove it. Go ahead and cut this thing off flush, both sides, you know, top and bottom. Okay, as you can see that one there, just cut right off. this is what it looks like right there. So cut that thing right off and you're good to go, and you'll have way better fitment and have no gaps all the way around, and the thing fits right in. This is the rear duct piece. This is a complete replacement, like I said. And so when you put this thing in there, it's kind of loose. It's not like a tight fit. And even with this tape here that they give you, that's already applied, it's not going to do the job. So what I'm going to do is just use some black silicone here. I'm going to apply a generous bead all the way around. And then I'm going to go ahead and just slip that in there and hold it in place and tape it down. And make sure it's firmly adhered to the body panel. This stuff works great. It's a great adhesive. It's going to work perfect for this application. I'm just going to apply, like I said, a nice even bead all the way around, and that will take care of that. But that there is the tips. The diffuser, you know, it was a kind of a bitch to get to all 16 of those screws, especially the ones above the tailpipe. But I was able to do it. It did take some time, but it had the best fitment out of all of these pieces. Okay, so I'm going to move along to installing these, and then hopefully that spoiler comes in. I'll give a quick recap of that, that Anderson composite spoiler. All right, so here we have the next step on the rear carbon guards. As you can see, I went ahead and laid out the front face of this, or the face that's going to be receiving all the brunt of the grit and the gravel and the you know, all the crap that's going to be coming off your tires, with masking tape. Okay, then I went ahead and used, as you can see, blue masking tape, painter's tape, scissors, an X-Acto knife, and I basically trimmed it to cover the profile of this front face here that's going to be exposed to the tire. I overlapped it just a little bit, maybe a 1/4 inch along here, and then tapering up to like 1/8 of an inch, just so I have that it's going right to the tangent point of the actual radius all the way around the curvature. That way you get some overlap over the edge. You don't want to bring it right to the face, to the front tangent. You want the tangent on this side, essentially, of the profile of the curvature. That way you have some overlap and it offers protection. Okay, this is X-Pel. I went ahead and purchased a 12-inch by 24 piece of X-Pel. Hopefully this is enough. I think it will be. It comes with this squeegee. And this is an official not XL, but X-Pel product. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead now and remove this blue painter's tape off of this guard really carefully, and essentially take this 3D profile, this 3D shape, and plaster it on a 2D surface, which is this right here. So taking the 3D and then transferring it onto 2D. This will help essentially allow you to trace now this blue painter's tape, the profile, onto the X-Pel, and then you can go ahead and then carefully cut that trace, that profile you made with a Sharpie marker or pencil or whatever, onto the X-Pel, cut that out, and then you'll have this exact shape now to apply to the carbon here to protect it. Now, I'm going to show as much of this as I can and show you the result. When it's done, it's going to basically look just like this, nice and clean, smooth transition, and you're not going to be able to tell at all that there's a piece of X-Pel on there, and it's going to be protected, obviously. All right, so this is my initial layout here. I tried to apply the template onto the X-Pel, and as you can see, it really doesn't fit well. It looks like I'm going to have to break this up into 2 pieces. So it's either I, limit this piece of X-Pel to go just to about here and cover majority of the mud guard, and cut this off and do away with the remainder, that tail end. Same thing with this one. That way we can get coverage, I should say, and make up with 1 piece. But I think what I'm going to do is actually, I came in 5.5 inches from this edge here. So this inside edge, 5.5 inches, and I made a square line here, and I can trim this and trim this and then basically reconfigure this so I can put these more straighter, and then put these two smaller pieces in the remnants and cut those out, trace those and cut those out, and then that way I can have full coverage on the whole piece. And I'm compromising that one piece construction. I would prefer to have one piece, but you would need to have a bigger piece of XPEL for that. So I'm gonna break it down like I said. All right, so here we have the new layout. I almost screwed this up, okay? So you wanna have the glossy side of the XPEL facing up and then plaster your template on top of that. If you do it the other way, the dull side, you're gonna have each side inverted, and they're not gonna be exactly the same. They're gonna be close because they're roughly the same shape, but they will be inverted, and you most likely will have a problem. They're not gonna fit perfect like the way they've been traced and cut. As you can see, one is actually shorter than the other, believe it or not. I couldn't tell at first, but once I repositioned them and laid them out, I can see my old trace marks in the background here on the opposite side, but one is actually like maybe 3/8 of an inch shorter. So you want to fit them and match them up exactly to the piece that you traced. Okay, so if you went to the right side, it's going to be for the right, and left is for the left, and you'll want to plaster it, like I said, on the glossy side. Stick it to the glossy side of the XPEL. That way it transfers the exact shape perfectly. That way there's no issues. And there's perfect fitment, and it looks clean, and the lines are going to match up throughout the whole profile perimeter. So I'm going to go ahead now and leave this on here and cut it out just the way it is. Just carefully go around the tape, the outline, and cut out the shapes. All right, so here are the pieces cut out. Like I said, this is a two-piece design now, not a one-piece because I couldn't fit it. But this is it. You get the idea. Now I'm going to go ahead and peel these off and apply the XPEL to the carbon piece and fit it up nicely. I'm not going to show that because it's a very time-consuming, tedious process. Basically, what you do is just spray it down with some water, with a drop of dish soap in there, in a spray bottle, and then you apply it onto the surface of the carbon piece here, and then lay down your XPEL, and then you squeegee out from the center out all the air bubbles and everything, and push all the water out, and then as stuff evaporates, it sticks to the actual the substrate piece, the carbon piece. All right, so here we have it, fully XPEL'd rear mud guards. They look gorgeous, man. So it took me a little time to really finesse this thing and to get full coverage. And the trick is you want to get a sharp X-Acto knife and then trim off any overhang on the edges, on like this inside edge here. So you want some overhang on this side, but on the inside, trim it all away, all the excess, to make a nice clean edge. Because if you don't, once dirt and debris and grime gets in there, you're going to see it on the XPEL, and it might actually transfer into the film underneath it. So I just made sure that it was applied with the squeegee nice and tight, got rid of all the air bubbles. As you can see, it looks really nice. But it's all protected, so the all the way to the bottom edge here, to that tangent, like I was saying, the stuff that the actual surface that matters is covered completely. So as debris is hitting this, it's going to hit the XPEL and not the actual bare carbon. So that's what they look like, freaking looking great. Okay, so now it's time to put them on the car and get this project finally buttoned up and done. All right, so these mud guards are a pretty big pain in the ass when it comes to fastening to the car, because, like I said, it doesn't use the OEM fasteners. So this is what I came up with. I laid out 3 holes here first. Then I went ahead and pre-drilled them for the screw for this fastener here. These are spring clips. So I put 3 of these in here. Okay, and then what I did was I actually put some masking tape on the back side of the mud guard, installed it on here and laid it nice and tight in there, exactly how it's going to fit. and then I went behind here with with an actual pick, with a right angle 90-degree pick, and I scratched in the hole locations. Okay, so once you scratch in the hole locations, then you can go ahead and, you know, pre-drill your carbon piece now for the hole pattern. So once you do that, then you're moving along. But I highly recommend doing this right here. So mask off with painter's tape your paint, your body panel. You don't want to be destroying your paint by going off and on with this carbon, because it is kind of abrasive on the edge. So you want to leave that for the final install. Remove this and then go ahead and cinch it up like I did on the other side. But I wanted to show you guys what this looks like in process when it comes to laying out the holes, pre-drilling the stuff. It's kind of a pain in the ass. It really is, because especially up top here, there's no way of holding it, because the factory clips onto the inside here, and the piece has like a little pocket for it. This does not. So the aftermarket one, what I ended up doing on the other side is actually, you guys are going to shit your pants, but I pre-drilled this. When it was all together, I put my screws in, and the last thing I did was go ahead and drill a hole through the actual fender and this at the same time when it's all together. So that there is a very risky move, but I had to do it because on the other side, I'll show you guys when I'm finally done, there's nothing holding this top piece in place, and the tape is not going to work. I'm telling you right now that tape is not going to constrain this panel. It has a lot of force. It wants to kick back out. So that's why I went ahead with the safety wire. I pre-drilled the holes and then install that safety wire nice and tight so it pulls in this carbon piece into the body panel, right into that groove. There's a groove in here, little body line that you want it to fall inside. So that's what you want it to fall out. Alright guys, so I finally finished up on these carbon fiber mud guards, and I want to give you my summary and kind of evaluation on these things. They did suck to install, okay? If you're expecting for these things to fit like OEM, they're not going to fit like OEM, okay? I can tell you that right off the bat. And just to get them to be presentable and acceptable, it's going to require some fitting, a lot of patience, a lot of going back and forth to the car from your workshop, fitting, cutting, grinding, sanding, polishing, whatever it takes to get it into an acceptable state. And even then, these ones that I have here have a gap right back here, just a little bit. As you can see, maybe a 1/4 inch of a gap. It's not showing up on camera. Let me see if I can fix that. Okay, right there. Okay, you see that? That's what I'm talking about. So that there is just the way it's going to be. Okay, this is the best I can get it. Matches up right with the diffuser. Really nice. But you're going to expect some kind of, you know, non-OEM fitment. But it looks good. Okay, once you stand back, you can't even notice that it has some kind of gap in the body panel once I adjust the lighting here so you guys can see. So when you stand back, everything looks fine, but when you really get up close to it, you're going to be able to tell that there's something going on, that it wasn't perfect. But totally acceptable. I'm going to still leave them on my car and run them just the way they are. They look really good. You know, just a quick recap on kind of like what this looks like on the inside. So as you can see here, fully expelled on this, on the inboard side here, so fully protected. It's not going to turn to complete shit after you do some burnouts and you know, run this thing on the street for a while. It's going to get an abraded finish, just like these plastics on the inside here. 3 screws. Okay, I went over that process, and then at the top here, I did a piece of safety wire and I drilled through. Okay, the final product is a very professional look. Now, your mileage may vary. I'm really picky, and I got it to line up just right, perfectly. The OEM clips that go up here are not going to work. Okay, there's no pocket for the clip, so you're going to have to come up with some other situation or a way to fasten it. Tape itself, I don't think is going to work, okay, to be honest, because they supply you with some like double-sided 3M tape, but it's not strong enough. This carbon piece wants to really pull outwards, and just tape alone is not going to do it. You need something else to fasten it in there. Okay. I did not put tape on this at all because I just want it to be easily removable if in the future I plan on taking these off. So I didn't go ahead and do the extra step there with the tape. I really don't think I need it. This safety wire is stainless steel, if you don't know, and it's super strong, so it's not going to go anywhere, and it fit the body line perfectly. Okay, I fit it right inside that groove, and everything looks right. I also had to, on the inside here, because of the profile of the carbon is not exactly perfect, so I can still see some white of the panel here, of the body panel, exposed past the carbon. So what I had to do was use some matte black touch-up paint, and I basically, the spots that were exposed, which is kind of like right here, you can't see it now because it's all blended in now and touched up, but I touched it up with a little paintbrush, a little tiny like detail brush, and painted all the exposed white panel, okay, that was still exposed from the inside. So very minor detail, but I would not leave it without doing some touch-up work, because it's just going to look weird, because you're going to look into your fender and you're going to see some white, okay, or whatever body color you have, you're going to see that poking out past the carbon. It just doesn't look, you know, finished. So little touch-up, a lot of fitting and fabricating the piece basically to fit the way I want it. And I'm pretty happy with the way it looks now. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and run these. They still look really great from the inside and the outside, even with the poor fitment and the complete headache of going through the process of installing these. There's a little bit of a gap down here too, but not noticeable. You're not going to be looking down there anyways, so really, really hard to see, but you get the idea. Really quick, I'll show you the other side. Basically the same thing. The other side had more of a issue when it came to more of the white paneling exposed. So right here, I colored the body, you know, touched up with that flat black, and that way it blends right into the carbon. You can't even see it all the way to the top. Okay, so this had a little bit more of the white exposed, but now it's all taken care of. Fully expelled, like I said, that way this thing is protected and it's going to look great into the future. You know, same kind of fitment with this one here. You're going to have that gap right there as well. I was able to like really tuck these things in, okay? As I was installing them, you know, you keep one hand and you're really pushing in, you know, tighten this screw here like I did, and then I would push in here and then tighten the bottom two, and that tucks in the gap underneath here, okay? Just a little tip, you want to be pushing in as you're installing your fasteners. I also put the holes a little further in and a little further out on the carbon, so that way when you cinch it up, it stays nice and tight right up against the body panel, if you know what I mean. You essentially want to push it into place and have it stay there. So you have to make your holes accordingly. Some people might understand what I'm talking about. You basically, the carbon piece has to be further out, the hole, like I'm talking about, maybe a 1/16 of an inch. And then this right here that you're drilling into, the white body panel, the car panel, is going to have to be further out. So that way when you bring those two together, you get an extremely tight fit and it's not going to move at all. And there you have the safety wire up top, looking really nice. The fitment is perfect on this side. Like I said, it takes a ton of patience. If you don't have any patience for this kind of stuff, good luck, because you're going to need it to do this type of project. But it looks freaking phenomenal. You know, same thing. It's going to match all the other pieces here. We have this carbon gill here, the vent for the brake duct. I'm also going to go ahead and expel this as well. It's really hard to expel this profile here. Okay, so I'm going to do it in two pieces. I'm going to do like the small piece up here on the top, and then the long piece here on the side, and then make a cut for the gusset there and fold it over and, like, you know, blend it in. But this area right here is going to get blasted with rocks from the front wheel. Okay, no matter what you do, you're going to get blasted. So I'm going to go ahead and protect this beforehand, before I get on the road and start driving this thing for the season, taking it to work, doing all sorts of cool stuff with it. But the inside surface, not so much. It doesn't get pelted. but I may go ahead and do that as well. Who knows if I have some time during the week. But that's the update. I want to also go ahead and show you guys, I just detailed the inside of these wheel wells. And as you can see, looks really nice. So check out my next video. I'll show you guys how to fully detail and the stuff I used for that and to make it look brand new, essentially. As you can see, it looks really nice and dark plastics, really hydrated, looking good. But that's going to be it for the video, guys. When it comes to these carbon pieces, I also have the Anderson Composites rear spoiler carbon fiber complete full width spoiler to be installed next. So hang tight and I'll be making that video, and that's going to be coming up. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any other questions or comments, please place them right down below. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.